would like to share? Oh, and you will have 3 minutes. I left that out a minute ago.
I didn't think that it changed. I'm Annette Hyde, and I live in Radiant. My late mother was an early childhood special education teacher for ages 3 to 5 in the Garland, Texas Independent School District, where my younger brother and I attended school. She entered college at age 35 after my brother started 2nd grade. She went on to earn her bachelor's and master's degrees and taught in the school district for 23 years. My mother's differently able students had Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, spina bifida, and many other physical and mental challenges. She, along with her teacher's aide, who was with her for 20 years, enjoyed teaching her students and celebrating the progress they all made. She loved working with the parents who loved her and her dedication to their children. Days off meant continuing education workshops, tending to our family, and much needed rest, especially during summer. Fortunately, my mother didn't need a second job to survive, even after my father died 14 years after she began teaching. She reluctantly retired at age 62 because she physically could not do her job to the best of her ability anymore. Teachers do what they do because they love working with children, sharing their knowledge with them, and encouraging their learning goals among so many other reasons. Teachers certainly do not go into the profession to get rich. I couldn't find any statistics about teachers in Virginia having second jobs to make ends meet because their salaries aren't enough to live on, but I know many do. I wasn't able to attend the January 24th, 2024 budget work session, but one of my friends did. They texted me about some of the outrageous comments Mr. Sheads made. He argued against teacher pay. Mr. Sheads said that they chose the job, and they make more than he does, and he doesn't have days off, and he doesn't have health insurance, and he has to work outside in the mud and cold. So the superintendent reminded him that we are dead last in teacher pay in the region, and it's not close. During board comments at the February 12th meeting, Mr. Sheads asked if the board increased salaries, what do they get in return? A meme went out around social media recently, teacher, now, a profession that creates all other professions. I challenge Mr. Sheads, if he hasn't done it already, to spend 1 week substitute teaching at all 4 schools next school year. He might discover that it's harder work than he realizes, and that teachers do deserve their pay raises, their benefits, their days off, our appreciation, and most of all, our respect.
I'm Russ Survivor. I live in Wrightwood. And last month, I was sharing something and ran out of time, but I wanted to share this, just read it to you, and stay within my time frame. But in the education period of 1850 to 1877, under the heading professionalization, one of the major functions of early superintendents was to introduce a uniform course of study in schools. And under their direction, City Superintendent William H. Wells' graded course of instruction for public schools of Chicago, published in 1862, was adopted as a teacher's manual by many cities and set an example that would be emulated for years afterward. This excerpt from the graded course of instruction for the public schools of Chicago states, little anecdotes and familiar examples, illustrations, illustrating the love of brothers and sisters, the respect due to the aged, kindness to animals, mutual love of companions and associates, benevolence, etc., are among the best means of cultivating these virtues. Teaching mainly by example will accomplish far more than any formal catechism of moral instruction. Teachers should frequently read to their divisions short, entertaining narratives and make them the subject of familiar and instructive conversation with their pupils. So also in lessons on animals, trees, and all the works of nature, opportunities should be constantly improved to show the wisdom, power, and goodness of the Creator, and to inculcate the reverence that is due to Him and a sense of dependence upon Him. The teaching about God, the Creator, was foundational in our education system, and I highly recommend that it continue, that we might have a country that is blessed of the Lord. Thank you.
Anybody else like? Would anybody else like to address the board? Okey doke. Our next item is board member comments. Does anyone have a comment? Start where? Mr. Sheads?
Yes. Thank you for reiterating my comments. I still feel the same way. Appreciate you bringing it up again. It's good. We'll never be able to compete with the surrounding counties in pay unless we have millionaire donors. It's impossible. Now, one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in college graduates that have had a teaching degree. And on that pay scale, it gives them $250 more a year. I know schools don't go off of the 40-hour week schedule, but what I'm used to is 52 weeks a year, 40 hours a week, 2,080 hours. You divide $250 by that, and you get a raise of 12 cents per hour. That's not a whole lot of money. So rather than coming and attacking our decisions on the board, maybe we could offer some solutions for the board.
Two things. I was just thinking there's two comments. The first one, responding to the pastor's comments, I read a good article, and I read a quote that kind of reminded me of that a little bit. It's a quote from John Adams. He said, real quickly, "Purpose of education is to produce good men and women and useful citizens." It's a great quote for us to think about. Produce good men and women and useful citizens. So we're thinking about from John Adams. And the second comment, just responding, comments and things. I mean, I think it's important to highlight those. I think what really matters is that I hope the community knows we're really trying to be really serious about trying to be competitive as we possibly can. We've made good strides working with board supervisors, for their support, county citizens for their support. We matched the state's raise, and we went beyond that. How much total? What's the total amount we raised beyond 400,000? That was 400,000 beyond 3%. 280. So 280. So we applied that to teacher salary. So we recognize that we need to work on that, and we recognize the challenges of doing that in a small county. But I hope people will recognize that we are making progress towards that. We did put a lot of money, Madison's taxpayers' monies, toward trying to start to close that gap that does exist. And so I think that I hope folks will realize that that all members of the board want that for sure and recognize that and focus on that.
Honestly,
I think Mr. Wingate said it best. Like, we are trying to do what we can for teacher salaries and to do what we can to further that goal of making good human beings in our county. And,
I agree. Okey doke. We will move forward with the instructional